I'm Jared. This is Will.
Will,
We're doing mortgages, buying properties, investing in homes, and trying to solve people's problems. But today we just wanted to really quick make an introduction, talk a little bit about ourselves, talk about some of our thoughts, our opinions as of now, right?
absolutely.
So I guess to start it off, how long you been doing business? What are you doing now?
My name's Will Kumparis. I've been doing mortgage for the last 4 years. It's been a whirlwind. Obviously, the rates have gone crazy the last year or two. So I just really fell in love with it, engulfed myself into it, and now we're just doing so many different things that just trying to find solutions for people and their housing needs that it's creative, it's different, it's just exciting that you don't have to fall into these guidelines that most people think they have to fall into, and it's really exciting to not have to do that. So, yeah, it's a fun job to do every day, so that's why it makes me excited every day to do it. So,
And you're probably talking about the creative finance side, right? Like not having those rules, I'm assuming.
exactly. So, we started off, by saying that we do mortgage, but traditional mortgages have rules, regulations, but the creative side, I mean, you know more about it than I do, but I'm very new to it, but it's exciting not to have strict guidelines. Imagine I mean, pick anything, a video game that doesn't have rules and regulations. You can do whatever you want. The world is your oyster. It's the Wild West out there for that. So, a lot of fun and interesting things to do. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's um that's cool. It's sometimes hard to think about it that way that I could do whatever I can imagine and agree on, like, two parties, right?
right,
You can do. But it's hard, right? Coming from, or well, at least I'll say for me it's hard because, I've done mortgage for over 20 years, and we're programmed about the rules and the guidelines, what you can and can't do. And I personally can look back and say, how many people was I not able to help by not having enough knowledge, right? Or how many people did I let down, or had to, not be able to help, or
just
have
tell them
somebody
no
else,
or
yeah,
yeah,
and they might
deny
have got
them.
help from somebody else, right? That was able to do it, that knew more. And you think, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years, I should know everything. But
Right,
as I get older and wiser, I realize that you never stop learning, and there's always something that you learn from, whether it's a good or bad situation. So, and I'm sure even, for you, you probably could look back and say, oh man, that loan I couldn't get for that person for whatever reason, their income, their value, or whatever the reason is. If I only would have known what I know now and thought outside the box, then maybe I could have helped them.
I want to say
Maybe.
hundreds,
Yeah,
hundreds
hundreds.
of
Yeah.
cases that you look back and you're like, wow, like I could have done so much with this. So, yeah, it's so many cases in that sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
but here we are now, and we're learning and we're moving forward. And I think, one thing that I think we both believe in, I'm talking for you all now, but
Thanks.
is that you never stop learning, right? Like I want to keep learning up until the day that I am no longer on this planet, right? Because it's going to keep changing. I can only be humble enough and hope and pray that I can somehow keep up with the way the world goes these days.
Right.
It moves so fast.
Yeah.
So, so anyways, yeah, mortgage, like I said, whether it's the traditional side, which is great if somebody wants to do that because it is traditional. Like to me, almost not like Porky the Pig there for a
But
second,
eat,
but
eat.
but for me, it's like the traditional financing side is a comfort zone, right? Too,
Right.
because we all know it's like going to Bank of America or Chase. Like, why would I go there? Maybe they don't have the best program, best pricing, or the best customer service, but I'm comfortable with them because
Right.
I've used them for 20 years. My family used them, right? It's a comfortability thing.
Right.
And traditional finance is like that too. A lot of people don't like creative finance just because they don't know. So it's our job and our responsibility, if that is a better option for somebody, to help them understand, help it make sense, um, help the trust and everything else that we want to give homeowners. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Like I said, it's definitely, it's easier if you don't know, right? It's like, instead of relearning a different skill from a skill you've been taught all the time. How many basketball players turned baseball players were successful as baseball as they were in basketball?
Right.
I don't know, zero.
Bo Jackson, I want to say, is the
Oh, Bo
only,
Jackson, yeah, he was the only
but
exception. But
Bo's right. That's a
But even the GOAT himself, Jordan,
he wasn't great at it. Yeah,
he didn't do great.
right.
So I mean, so it's easier, right? If you come in and you focus on one skill and you become the Jordan, or let's see, it's Kobe. Become the
Kobe?
Kobe. You know,
Oh, it's too soon. Too
the
soon.
other GOAT
Uh,
at one thing, and you don't have the blinders on that we say of feeling like you can't do it because you were trained and you were programmed to do something different or do it a certain way.
well, I think most people think that they just are programmed to see things a certain way. They get stuck in the structure of things and they don't think outside the box just because it was never taught to them by their parents, their peers or whatever, that it's not possible. So, I mean, even me, like when you started bringing up seller financing, creative finance, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm like, well, why would so and so do this and do this? But after you get into it a little bit more, you start learning that it does make sense, and it's just a good way for the seller of a home or the buyer, just financially and just all around. It just makes sense. So it's just getting out of those comfort zones that you just think that I have to go to the store and buy this, or I have to do this or this. But, there's so many different things to do outside of traditional guidelines. So it's just hard to get yourself out of that stigma and that mud that you're stuck in, basically, of thinking outside those traditional lanes. So
Once you do, opens your mind, I think, or it has for me at least. But I feel like
I've always had a problem with authority. So me going outside of guidelines has always been a good thing. So I mean, a comfort zone for me. So I don't care. Like I'm like, I don't have to do it this way. Why do I have to do it this way? Let me go outside of that lane. I'm totally fine with that. So
that's awesome.
you guys ever drive that truck lane up into going up the 15 to Vegas?
Yeah.
I've done that.
Breaking rules.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
all
whatever.
right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
For a good purpose.
right. You got to get to Vegas faster, but
Yeah. Well, and you said an important thing, which maybe we'll make another video just about that. But that's like a deep psychology of it, which is how we're all programmed, right?
right.
How we're taught, how we're programmed. I don't know why, but I've been on that kick lately and wanting to dig deeper and go down that rabbit hole of the subconscious and everything that's kind of 2-3 layers deep on how we think and how we act. And I think our country these days is leaning that way as well too, right?
I think it's headed
And
in that direction for sure.
Yeah,
Direction for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. For how people think. I mean, about school, about family, about what they need to do, what they should do, what they want to do. How you're programmed. Again, it all kind of goes together. But we'll have to do another topic on that.
I'm actually, yeah, that's a good video to actually do, or a topic, because I'm actually very cautious to talk to people about those kind of things, because it's almost a hot topic or a touchy topic to kind of go outside of guidelines and things. And it's like, why do you think that way? Why do you do that? And I don't want to rub somebody the wrong way at times, but when I feel like I know somebody and I get comfortable with them and they accept that there's other things, an outside way of thinking, then we can go into it. But I'm actually almost nervous to talk to people about that, and I don't even bring it up.
Like talking about politics,
Politics,
religion,
exactly.
or
Yep.
programming of the current society.
Right. And it's something that nobody brings up really, but I think it's becoming more of a topic, for people to talk about. So,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
good.
we'll say that for a whole like a mindset, breaking the barriers kind of a conversation,
Yeah,
if you will.
we'll bring out the crystals and the
yeah,
chakras.
exactly.
And the whole thing. Yeah.
Whatever it is. But so yeah, today we'll go back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, which is or just our thoughts on the current market, what's going to happen. So like right now, the mortgage industry has obviously been kind of wild for a year and a half. I think most everybody knows about that. But real estate market's still holding pretty strong, it sounds like. And it's very biased to people's opinions and their situations, I'm sure, right now, too. But what do you think as far as values going up or down, rates going up or down?
I mean, more over the 20-year period of time, and I had a short period of time, the good boom area, and now the trenches, or whatever you want to call it. But I think this is just a product of COVID. The rates went down because they needed to drive some some purpose and get people out into the economy. I think that I think rates are going to eventually go down here very soon. Obviously, we have all these mixed opinions on everybody's lists and everything. But I think mortgage rates are set to come down, stabilize. They're probably going to sit at a higher rate than what we think they're going to go down to eventually. But I just think inflation's getting curbed. We're reaching what the Fed wanted to do actually in the last year, and I think it's catching up finally. It's taking longer. It's like driving a boat. I feel like they call it quick fixes. What do they call it? You have a boat.
I don't know. I don't know about boat terms.
Maybe in planes and they say this in planes and boats. Small corrections. So say you're in a boat. Gotcha. If you overcorrect, you're just going to go this way. If you overcorrect, you're going to go this way. So it has to be a small correction, and it'll center you.
Gotcha.
Right.
I'll be on the boat tomorrow, so I'll have to remember that.
Happy Father's Day, by the way.
Small corrections. Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you too.
Illegitimate if there is
soon to be. Soon to be. Yeah. No. I mean,
I just think everything's stabilizing.
Rates, so you kind of think that's the rate mark. You think you think it's going to come down a little bit, right? Of course. What's your prediction?
What are we at? 7 right now? I think we're going to be
6.5, 7, 8, depending on what kind of loan you're doing, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
Let's just talk about perfect scenario, best rate, because that's what everybody else thinks.
I think low 5s is where our expectations might fall, probably within a year and a half, I want to say. I mean, this is basically, and I'm no expert, I'm no Barry Habib. Shout out to Barry. Listen to you every morning. I just listen to all the influence that I hear from my social media to Barry to the government, to CNN to whatever. I think that rates will be down within a year and a half to in the low 5s, which is what 1.5% from now. So, and that's a good that's a good chunk. So we won't see 2.5. We won't see 3. I don't see ever again. Unless there's another pandemic, which
I think
could happen. But
I'm with you, by the way, as far as rate wise. Well, I'm a little different. I have a wide range, but I think they will get down to the low 5s on the lowest scale, which is a healthy rate, right? I mean, 2 and 3 was obviously it was great, take advantage of it, but it definitely wasn't healthy for an economy, considering the rate of inflation of what it traditionally should be.
Right. That's why we had that drastic turn. Like we did. Yeah.
It's like there's always balance, right? So if you're too good for too long, then you're gonna have to be too bad for too long. And that's what it is. Whatever that balance is, or that incline or decline of a asset or stock or whatever it is, real estate is. And real estate obviously is always inclining. By the way, right? It's always going up, drops up, but it's an upward increase. And you know that because 100 years ago, there was no homes worth over $1 million in the U.S., right? So, or no homes for the average person. So, but I think you're on the right page. I don't know when. I mean, I think we'll see stuff fluctuate from 5, even up to 8%, or high 7s maybe, just depending on the time of the year, what's going on, right? So, we know that they put a pause on the Fed increase.
On the increases, yeah.
Right, which isn't, I'm not saying that it's not going to go up, but it's just paused this time, I believe is how they are trying to word it. And they're definitely not seeing any decreases this year as of now. And maybe another 1 or 2 increases, not this time, but the next couple times here that they might raise it a little bit more. So if that happens, I mean, obviously it's going to drive rates up again, but we're not seeing anything happen with the values. I mean, beginning of the year, even out here in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, we were seeing that homes were on the market for 5-6 months on average,
right?
And now we're seeing homes on the market for like a month and a half on average, and we're seeing people take asking price or higher price. So, and it's really messing with a lot of people's minds because we as humans just think about whatever we experienced last,
right? And
most people experienced the housing bubble, 07, 08, 09, that era, right?
That'll make you hesitate.
And everybody is afraid of it, thinking houses are going to drop. And guess what? They're actually going up. In fact, they're projected to go up about 5 or 6% over the next year. Right. So if you bought a home for $500,000, or let's say you don't buy a home for $500,000, a year from now you might be paying $525 for that, $530 or whatever, right? And if the rates haven't gone down, you're going to be paying a higher mortgage payment for that, right? So on the flip side, people that buy now, let's take the rate out of the equation, right? Because we know there's 4 ROIs, 3 to 4 ROIs on any kind of home that you buy, property that you buy. Appreciation is just one. But you're losing that appreciation, right? So, and again, this is all views, opinions. Like everybody covers their butt, right, and says, "This is what I think it's going to be," unless there's a war or economic collapse, or
Right,
you
right.
know, COVID-26 comes out, or something like that happens,
Well,
right? But
yeah, everybody's bad weatherman. So
yeah, exactly. So we all want to cover our butts, but we're all giving opinions based off information that we know, but information we've seen,
Right,
historic information, projected information, all that kind of stuff, right?
right, right.
So yeah, who knows what's going to happen? Again, I'm with you. I think rates can get down in the fives on certain times. Just like Will got the perfect timing on your refinance.
Oh yeah.
What'd you get on your
Well,
mortgage when you did a
what month
refinance?
was this? I think it was. I want to say it was September of 21, and I got a 1.875 cash out loan on a condominium. So
So that's not going to happen anymore.
that's not
I
likely.
don't think. I don't think it's going to
Yeah,
happen anymore.
highly
So
unlikely. So
that was right timing though, because I think that window was only there a few days.
right, yeah, it was only probably maybe a week or so. Yeah, that you could probably swing that. I went to the blackjack table and bet over and over again, and I won. So yeah, I mean, it
I
was
didn't get
literally
that
luck
deal.
at the time and everything. And it was almost by accident, but yeah, worked out for that. But obviously, I don't think rates will ever get there. I don't think they'll go. I just don't think they'll go any higher. I think that'll put everybody in such a scare in the housing market that it'll just cause a frenzy. I don't know. I don't know. There's just so many views and ways to think about it that it's just hard to put a pin on it. So
If you ever want to get rid of that place, let me know and I'll just take over your payments.
yeah, to
So
do some seller
I'll just
financing.
subject to on your condo there. I don't mind that.
Right, right, right. Wow.
Gosh, sorry, dirty dog.
Dirty dog.
Dirty dog. Okay. So yeah, value wise, what do you think is going to happen? Up, down, all around?
I mean, I'm actively looking for a house right now, so I mean,
So you're biased and want them to go down?
yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like it's basically, do you want your team to win, or are you betting on the money that whatever you want? In the business, I want markets to go up, right? I want people to have equity. I want to have all those things. But as far as a home buyer right now, I'd like to sneak in like my low interest rate, a lower price to buy and gain equity right off the bat. So from what I've seen, they're pretty stable. I've seen them come down for the last 3-4 months just doing mortgage and whatnot. But they have kind of held off at right now, and I don't see them going down too much further because inventory's low. There still is people wanting to buy, and I think people have finally realized that housing prices are not going to go down, and that they're only going to continue to go up. So I think there's that mindset, and it has a little bit of a lag that basically it's catching up, and people realize I need to buy now, or I might never buy ever again. So I'll be stuck renting the rest of my life. So I'm in the middle of it right now. I actually put 2 bids on 2 houses last week, and I'm trying to get a deal. So I'm being a little low on my bids, but we'll see. But yeah, I think housing prices are still going to go up. They've kind of staggered here for a little bit, but I don't see them going down at all in the near future here at all. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think it's too, like what you just said is you still find the deals out there, but it's kind of like that new shirt that comes out at Target and everybody wants it and it could be overbid, right? Like
right.
if you're looking for that cookie cutter ready to go house and it's really desirable, whether it's the area, the design, or whatever the case is, then I think that's where you're going to see the overbidding, and higher appreciation.
Right.
Now, Target has a lot of shirts for sale, so you could probably get the clearance rack and the discount rack is right around the corner, but you might have to use your own creativity on it for you. So,
Right.
for us, that's what we're looking for, that kind of stuff, those kind of properties, right? The ones that maybe it's not as desirable, or maybe it needs some work, it needs some love, right? So we could look. You could still find discounted properties. You can find discounted properties across the nation, even over the last few years, and it was one of the hottest, real estate refinance, whatever, buying markets out
Right.
there, right? So,
Right.
so yeah, they're everywhere. I think we're both in agreement that rates are not doing anything for a few years. I think it's going to be more like a year and a half to. I think it's going to be more like a 2 to 3 year at minimum that will be in this range, maybe up to the next 5 years, personally. But it doesn't mean we're going to slow down or stop anything. So.
It is what it is. Yeah. I mean, A
Makes
rate is a
sense.
rate.
And there's so many things that could happen, right? Like the value of the dollar can be completely ruined, right? I mean, $1 million home could be like a $200,000 home these days. So
Dogecoin could be the new current. I
I
mean,
hope not.
okay.
I hope not.
Sorry.
No more crypto. No more
Sorry.
crypto.
Sorry.
Which reminds me, I gotta buy some crypto. So, but yeah, who knows what's gonna happen? But you keep moving forward. So, and we keep wanting to do what our main focus is, which is to help people. I mean, that's always been the goal, is to help people, right? So some people look at it differently, as a job, or chasing a dollar or whatever. And I don't really click with those people. That's why I don't really click with a lot of salesy people,
Right.
because I'm more of a giver of information personally. I think me and you are kind of built the same. We've had these talks before,
Right.
where like the cheeseball car salesman style of selling something or explaining something isn't somebody I want to be or be around personally, because we want to help people. So
I just wouldn't feel comfortable talking to someone on a level to where I'm trying to sell them something. I want to give them all the information, help them decide on the best, best solution for their problem, and go with it and help them and guide them to that. That's more fulfilling than me making $1 on a sale, any day of the week. So
yeah,
that's what it's all about. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's all kinds of problems. Sometimes the problems that we have to solve are not related to a mortgage transaction or a real estate transaction at all. I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes there's a helping out. I've been out, painting eaves at 1 a.m. in 45, 50 minutes from my house to help somebody get a home that'll approve for an appraisal to get refinanced. And why was that? Because it was saving them $1,200 a month by getting rid of some of their debts at the time, right? So we come across those situations all the time. Might help somebody move. I might just be going to talk to somebody to tell them where to put their money, give them some suggestions, right? Obviously, I'm not an advisor.
Right.
I have a disclaimer on everything. I'm not a tax consultant. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial planner, but
at all.
I can give you my opinion as a friend and let you know what I would recommend. And you could take that information and apply it, ask other people, or reject it. But that's what we want to do, is help people. So
Right.
no matter what it is, ask us so we could try to help you out. And
Sometimes it's best not to do anything, and we've told people that.
100%.
Don't refinance. Don't buy this. Don't sell this. Whatever. Sometimes it's best not to move. So
kind of like that programming thing we talked about, right? Some people are just programmed that they have to do something because somebody told them they had to do something, but they really don't. So they really don't.
Right.
Instead of me feeling like I have to like convince them to do something, I just have to help them, and then they can. I would hope that they would tell other people that we helped them, and that was how we would build our business, right? So we're automatically rewarded for helping people. Everybody is. The more people you help, the more you're rewarded, I think, financially and spiritually, in your relationship, your personal side. So all that stuff kind of
right.
into it.
Referral wise, as a customer, I would want someone to give me all the information, take care of me, then sell me on something, and I'll tell my brother, my cousin, my sister, my neighbor. If someone I felt got one over on me or sold me on I bought a car a year ago and I just feel cheated. I'm not going to go recommend the guy. So if he would have told me everything, if I would make me feel comfortable, gave me all the info, told me all the options, maybe do this, don't do this, whatever, I would have felt much better and maybe recommended him. But he was a car salesman, and they're typically like that, and that's what I think we kind of, we'd stay away from that, in 100% of the time. So, it just makes me, I sleep better at the end of the day, and I just feel better, with people, interaction wise. So, yeah.
So what do you think as far as, I don't know. So we think the market's going to stay the same. We think homes might go up, or I think, did you see the same thing, or I think value's going up?
Value's going up. I think it's stagnant right now because it's hit this is where like I said, I think we're hitting the water's kind of settling as far as the frenzy of rates are so high, the values are too high, I can't afford it. So they had to come down a little bit. They had to slow down basically. At a certain point, people were asking, $600,000 for their $500,000 house. So it was just absurd. So they were just trying to, I think those people that were selling were trying to get a cash grab. It was their agent kind of over promising or over, doing things. So values were still going up, but they were just trying to sell things for way, astronomical numbers outside of what they should have been even listed for. So there was a lot of that. I think we've come to this, stagnant where the water's settling, and they're going to start going back up. People are going to realize housing prices are not falling; they're just sitting there. Rates are not coming down really fast; they're sitting there. Go buy a house. So I think we're in that time period. So it's going to get a little bit more busy as far as purchasing right now. Inventory is still low. Like I said, it sucks for me because I probably should have bought 3 months ago, maybe when things were a little bit less competitive. But who knows? Maybe maybe next week I'll tell you I got the house and my low bid worked. So,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So
And you probably were maybe 3 months ago might have been like a lot of people were like, "What's happening?" Right? Kind of the same
yeah, I
thing.
mean, I'm in the market too, so I feel all those same emotions, same feelings, same worries
Yeah,
all together. So
I think we all do
yeah,
because we, me, you, everybody, a lot of people I talk to, a rare person, and usually with experience, can take those thoughts and emotions out of
right,
their brain and their vocabulary, right? But doesn't mean you don't care about what happened in the past. It's about what you control now, and it's about what you do in the future, right? So, um, yeah, I think that's all awesome. Good stuff there.
um, one thing I've always wanted to talk about is it's a point of talk that I always comes up with, especially with older people that have bought and had mortgages 30 years ago, is why are you scared of the 7-8% rates? I had a rate at 15-20%. What would you say to someone like that at the barbecue or at the
That
town?
is scared of a 7%.
No, an older person, say they're in their 60s, and they said, I don't know what everybody's worried about, 7%. I had an 18% mortgage,
I'd agree with
4
them.
years.
What would I say to the old person saying that?
Yeah, what would you respond to them? Or
I,
like,
I, I
what
was. I mean, you're 100% right. Well, first off, I would. To me, when I have that conversation, it's like it doesn't matter what the rate is. People are so focused on little things, and I'll, that's a whole conversation of all the social media and
oh,
conspiracy
well,
theories and news and stuff like that. That people focus on these little things because it's just there. But rates are no different. I mean, who cares what the rate is? It's does the payment, is it what you want? Does it fit? Like if I was buying an investment property, right? And we know about 40 to 50% of all purchases are investors right now, right? Somewhere between cash buyers and hard money and specialty investors, whatever. Why? Because they are experienced. They know that a good time. They don't care about rates because let's just, be real. Those people usually take rates. Investors usually take rates because they can't get these traditional loans like we talk about that are usually 10, 12, 15%, whatever, right? Sometimes higher depending on the situation. But do they care? No, because it makes sense still. So, like when I have that conversation, I'm like, you're right. If it was a 20% and I got it for a price that fit me and it's what I want as a primary, or if it made cash flow or made sense for whatever my goal was as an investment property, then I don't care if it's a 2%, 10%, 20%, 30%, whatever it is, if it makes sense. But people are so wrapped up into, like I said, just that front level. There's, you know, the older I get, the more I realize there's so much more than just on that front layer that we
right,
all think about. Um, just like a property, right? We always think about how are you going to go up or down? Well, I mean, that's one thing that you have. You also have that you're paying down a debt, right? You also have a tax benefit. If it's an investment property, you also have cash flow or negative cash flow, however you want to look at it. So there's lots of things that you can focus on, just one or the other.
right, right, right.
But yeah, I mean, heck, mid 80s or whatever, rates were in the teens, right? 11, 12, 13, late 70s, early 80s. I think people were like 18 to 20 ish, right?
I think the biggest combatant of that whole thing is how much were house prices though? Like, what's 18% of $100,000 home or $50,000 home, right?
Oh, yeah. Back then, yeah, homes were 50 grand,
Yeah,
60
right.
grand.
30 grand,
Big difference.
right?
The minimum wage was $2.
Right.
So, and there was
I think
a
everybody.
lot less, you know, wealthy people. But they're also, and you got to realize, like, how far do you want to go back? Because there was a time that the 30-year loan, traditional loan that we think is standard and everybody knows was not even around at
Right.
that time, right?
What was it back then? 20?
Yeah, they
Or
were
was it?
shorter terms. I don't remember where they were off the top of my head, but usually, I mean, think about it now. You could buy a house, or even the last 20 years for that matter, with 0 or 3% down. You could get into a home, 5% down, whatever it is. I mean, back in the day, it was 20 to 50% down. A lot of foreign countries, you still have to put 40 or 50% down and take an an interest rate. So I guess I chalk it up to Americans are spoiled. We have everything given to us. But that's how it used to be. And I know a lot of things change. They constantly do. And like I said earlier, if you don't continue to educate yourself and stay on top of it, and you're still going to miss things, by the way, you're definitely going to be left in the dust. Right. But you used to walk into a bank with a handshake and get a loan, right?
The good old days.
The good old days. So you can't do that anymore. There's more guidelines. And just like anything, things are one way, and then people abuse those rules and they get tighter.
They have to get changed.
Short-term rentals. Nobody cared about short-term rentals. Those came around about 11 or 12 years ago. And just over the last couple years, cities, counties, states are getting strict on it, right?
Chopping those
They're
down.
setting up rules because ordinances come into play. So on that topic, what is the new thing right now that's happening that is not really regulated? Midterm rentals, pad splitting kind of properties, right? Jump into those. I want some, you want some, we want some. Everybody should probably think about those as well, because that's something that's not really regulated right now. Cities haven't thought about it. Governments take forever to do anything, right? That's why, we were happy to be able to get e-sign tax transcript documents finally just recently, even though we've been doing electronic signatures for a decade or two. Right. So yeah, take advantage of those kind of things, right? But yeah. So I don't know if I kind of went off topic of your question. But
I get that. I get that probably one every time I'm out with an older couple, or that have had a mortgage in the 70s, 80s, or not.
Why is everybody complaining?
Yeah, they gave me that old speech, but I totally.
I agree with them. But you're right. Tell everybody to stop their complaining.
But I say, well, Carl, your house was 20 grand, so try buying this $800,000 thing over here, brother. So,
right.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's always a point of conversation at at dinner or whatever. So
I think the more you know about money and how it works, and finances and how they work, the more that it doesn't matter and it makes more sense, right? Because you can start realizing, like I've talked to a lot of these old timers that got into a mortgage. It was $700 a month or whatever it was, and they had no idea how they were going to pay it, because maybe they were only bringing in whatever it was.
Right.
But here they are today, and they are, living
that's a pretty high DTI.
And, yeah, that's very high. There's a lot of. I've run into a lot of people where they get into people that take the risk and buy a business, and if you're built a certain way, and you figure out a way to make things happen, then it usually pays off in the end.
Right.
So those people I've seen that have been in those situations are better today than they were then. Or better today than they thought they were then. Right. So it's the same thing now. If you can get it, however that is, and get into something and it makes sense, and you can know that you're driven well enough to make it happen, then you'll be rewarded later on. Right. So, but if you're looking for instant gratification, a lot of people are looking for a quick buck, right? You're taking a big risk, and you could be in for a world of hurt. And I always say, if you aren't, there's a big part of luck that plays into that. So,
right, yeah.
And there's luck that goes into anything, I think, too. But
absolutely,
you control the majority of it. So yeah, those are my views. But yeah, and then like I said, houses right now, right? Talk about these values. Now, these are kind of averages that we're talking about, right? But we know that there's places that are good and there's places that are not good right now, right? And they change all the time. Even when we market something, we know, we move our marketing around based off of KPIs and performance and whatnot, right? But yeah, I think it's never a bad time to buy real estate. So
no, absolutely
never
not.
a bad time. It's just how you structure it and what you do. Am I going to stop getting Starbucks 5 times a week and only get it 3 times a week?
Right.
Because my rate's a little higher, my payments
yeah, you'll make it work. It's probably better for you, to be honest with you.
Like, when you really think about it, I don't think we put this in our brains hard enough. Appreciation, part of it, right? Long-term growth. We're talking 3 to 6% year over year on average. Been the average forever. projecting to be the average going forward, even in this high market.
You see that line? That's an easy graph to see. From the,
That's,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that was
always
easy.
going up.
Pull up anybody's
Yeah.
historical graph
Yeah.
of that, and you'll see your dips and you'll see the average, right?
All right.
And that just, and it becomes cumulative, right? That's just one cash on cash or cash return that you get, or return on investment that you can get from owning the property. So, and we've all done it. Like, oh, I should have bought that one. It just sold for $200,000 more. It just sold for $100,000 more. That's literally like we say it, but I don't think we put in our brain that how hard are you going to work to make that amount of money at your regular jobs or whatever it is, right?
Right.
How much are you going to risk to do that in maybe the stock market, or I don't want to use the C word, but crypto or something like that, right? How much risk are you going to do that? Where this is no risk. Your risk is, can I make my payments? Can I get somebody in there to make my payments? And if so, that's almost a gimme.
Right.
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 Not counting other things that you do when you restructure, refinance, leverage your money into another one or whatever you're going to do right down the road. So that's just one little way of thinking. But you got to really kind of take a step back and think like talking big numbers and talking time invested into what you do on your day to day, and realizing that we don't really put that much emphasis on it.
Right.
We look at it like, dang, I wish I would have got that one. Oh well, back to work,
Right.
or whatever, right?
We'll do the
But
same thing.
it's so valuable if you really think about it. Like, oh, I get mad at bad decisions in myself, and then I move on, of course, because I got to make another decision behind it.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, think about that next time you have doubts. Like, do I buy this house and all I have to do is make the payment and I can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, or at least California, right?
Right.
Or percentage wise, or do I go bust my ass and do the same thing? Or do I bust my ass and do this and double down, make twice as much money because this is actually doing it? Right. So, yeah, I mean, so many ways to talk about it, think about it. We could talk about this and we can manipulate the thought patterns 20 different ways, I'm sure.
Yeah, people get caught by barriers. It's just the thought process. You just think you can't do it. They've never done it. Fear, not knowing. I think that we see that at a lot of people, they just don't know. So it's just, I think that's why we like to give knowledge and just say, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to do that. You can do this. You can do that. It's like a lot of people just don't know. They're in their own way, including myself. When I don't know things, I just don't know it, and I don't, go for it. So it's just a lot of not knowing and not experiencing it, no experience in the field or whatever. So I think that's all it is. If you knew about it, if you had bought 5 houses, that's why investors keep investing. That's why people have multiple houses. Until you do your first 2, I mean, you don't know what's going on. So if you're a first-time investor, how many people are investors? Would you say out of the country, percentage-wise, households?
I don't really know. I'm gonna guess it's kind of like real estate agents. There's like a billion real estate agents, but only
a few good ones.
5% performing,
Yeah.
right? So everybody's an investor. I got a rental property. I'm an investor, but
Right.
I'm really an investor. So
Well, everybody became an investor with the C word. Crypto,
you said it,
yeah.
you nailed it though, right? Not the C word part, but the crypto word.
Yeah,
Right?
there's a lot of C
But
words.
you nailed it on the fact that it takes repetition and consistent actions to become good at anything you do. Right? So like you can't just buy one house or 2 and think I'm an investor. You don't know enough. You haven't done enough repetition.
Right.
Like you hop in the car for the first time, you've never driven. It's not going to drive really good.
Well, yeah.
Go to the gym and pick up the barbell, and it's going to be uneven because you haven't got
Right.
the motor skills.
You don't even know what to do.
Do more of it, right? You can't sit there and say I'm a real estate agent because I sold my cousin's house he gave me. You didn't do anything for it. My other house is now one of our rental houses, and I was like, that doesn't count in the portfolio. I didn't do anything. I lived there and I moved away.
Yeah. When does that count? If you do what, 2 more?
I think most things take 3 to 5 before you actually can feel good that you're doing it right or you're on the right direction, I guess. But you're still going to make mistakes. Everybody talks about all the good things that happen. There's a lot of bad that happens as well.
Right.
But it doesn't matter because you move forward. If you can be good, make good decisions 51% of the time, winning, right? So
I think making mistakes makes me 1,000 times better because that's how I actually learn. Sometimes you get, if you keep doing good and you're doing good and you're doing good, you don't learn. You're just kind of coasting. You might have gotten lucky, like you said, a few times and this and that. But the losses is where you get the deep understanding of things and you learn.
Yeah.
I think the most.
I can tell you
Yeah.
so many of my favorite books are all like I like that. But we'll go over this later.
Yeah.
What's your take on? We'll probably finish this up here shortly, and
Yeah.
we'll come up with some new topics. It's more like I said, just introductions, thoughts, who we are, and whatnot. But really quick, what's your take on the whole AI world and how it relates into
Oh,
real estate?
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's only been a few months here. I have mixed feelings on it. I mean, obviously it's cool. It's just like social media. I mean, I think it can be used for good or for bad and get, whatever. I like it. Obviously it's cool. You can use it for certain things, script, business, certain things. Quickly having a computer search things for you or do things for you, very cool. On the other hand, I think we've all seen like getting spammed by this or the worry of AI is gonna. I think there's a writer's strike going on, right, with writers.
Yeah,
I heard they're waiting. They're worried about AI is going to be taking over the writing of scripts, so that they're going to take their job out of it. So imagine AI is just writing scripts all day and they just pick the best one.
100%. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of worry on that. It is efficient, I know, but yeah, imagine we're just all
Better get good at better at acting.
Exactly. Yeah, you better. Yeah.
And bring
Um,
the value.
I have mixed feelings on it. I know it's the future. I was at the gym the other day in the sauna, and there was this older guy that was just ranting about AI and it's the future, and he was talking to these four other kids in the sauna and just screaming at them, telling how. I mean, I thought he was a robot himself. He must have been just. He was saying so much about how it's the future. You can apply for a job this way. You can research anything within it just by asking a question. I mean, he was an advocate to the fullest and said, "You better get on this before you miss out." So I have mixed feelings. I get it; it's going to be helpful. I don't know its potential and where it's going to go. So I think that's a big question or unknown for a lot of people. But yeah, I'm caught right between. I know it's going to be something. I don't know which way it's going to go. I think it's probably going to change 2 or 3 more times in the next year or two. And that might take it a whole different direction. So yeah, I'm kind of touching it, but not going all in on it right now. As far as knowing using it and everything. So I think it'll be used. I just don't know how it will be used. I guess is my final take right now. So yeah,
Only time will tell.
yeah,
But,
it's a
I do think you're gonna if you aren't trying to utilize it or using it on the sub level, you're gonna miss out. Just like social media, I was that person that was like, it's not that important.
right,
And now you look at it, it's like extra
right,
important. So,
right.
one of your biggest marketing and strategies that you have out there. But we'll see.
Well,
we'll see.
you can make DVDs still if you'd like.
But,
yeah,
we're gonna do a late night infomercial again.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're gonna do that here coming up. You ready?
yeah. So
yeah, that's it. Anything else you want to talk about, or
no, just yeah, glad to be talking, having good conversations about everything, just putting knowledge out, gaining knowledge, giving people the opportunity to talk and engage. So yeah, nice to meet everybody. This is fun. Yeah, thanks for having me here.
William Loans?
Yeah, this is great.
William Loans.
William Loans.
William Loans. Awesome. All right. Next time we'll talk about something else. We'll do some comments if we get this posted correctly.
Yeah.
Let us know what you'd like to talk about. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, whichever. Not really TikTok. Do you do TikTok?
No. If you want me to do TikTok, I'll do TikTok. I'm just kidding. I won't. Post any questions, any topics, any scenarios, anything that you want us to talk about and maybe research and just discuss.
If you don't come up with something, we'll come up with something ourselves. It might not be
right. So maybe you have something better. So
all right.
Don't use AI. Well, do, yeah.
Do but don't.
Do but don't.
Thanks.